regular meeting notice requirement of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act has been complied with in the adequate advance notice. This meeting was given at least 48 hours in advance. On Friday, May 5th, 2017, notice was mailed to the Courier Post and the Philadelphia Inquirer. Notice was also posted on a bulletin board located at the reception desk at the central office and all bulletin boards in the schools throughout the district. Roll call, please.
So the board secretary is out today, so I'll be taking on that role. Roll call, Ms. Teresa Atwood. Ms. Catherine Blackshear.
Here.
Jose Brito Bueno. Dorothy Burley. Joshua Cole. Taisha Munir. Wasim Muhammad.
Present.
Felicia Reyes Morton. Martha Wilson.
Present. At this time, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will now turn the meeting over to the Superintendent Payman Rahanafer.
All right, I'm going to come down to give the presentation. Our board members will also join us in the first row. All right, good evening, everyone. Today's presentation will focus exclusively on staffing and budgeting. And I'm going to attempt to be brief, and given there's certainly many people here who have signed up to speak, want to devote most of the meeting to those individuals who took the time to be here this evening to speak during public comment. One clarifying logistical matter: if anyone has a question about rice notices, I'm going to just say a few things, but reach out to someone on our team if you're confused about the rice notice. So for the first time, and this is because of a new court ruling, anyone whose name is on the board report receives a rice notice. And for this board meeting, that's essentially everyone in the school district received a rice notice. Just because you receive a rice notice doesn't mean that your position has been negatively impacted. So I really want to stress that. Just because someone receives a rice notice doesn't mean your position has been negatively impacted. And so that will be the case going forward at all of our board meetings. So if you or someone is on our board report because they are being reimbursed or they're receiving some stipend, they will get a rice notice. Previously, rice notices were distributed only in the event someone's name was discussed during closed session, which was typically very few people. Moving forward, anyone whose name is on the board report receives a rice notice. So I just want to make sure everyone's aware of that fact, because sometimes it can be a little bit alarming when you get a rice notice, but just receiving a rice notice alone doesn't mean any negative impact to those individuals. On to budgeting and staffing. I mean, clearly, this is a very sensitive time in the month of May as we go about these decisions. And I can tell you that, starting with me and the rest of our team, the decisions we make as it relates to our budget and staffing our schools, without question, the most difficult decisions that we have to take on and to think through. And so I just want to walk you through what that decision-making process looks like and to share with you some of the numbers, and then we'll certainly then go into public comment. So the first step is to simply think about balancing our budget and where we are. And this was information that I shared with you back in March when we first had our budget hearing. And ultimately, our enrollment drives the revenue that comes in. And with the fifth year here, as far as our projected enrollment for 17-18, going back to 13-14, clearly the enrollment shift is one that has led us to have lower enrollment in the district as other schools of choice have gotten slightly bigger. And so what that means is, yes, there is less revenue, but there's also fewer expenditures because we're serving fewer students. And at the end of the day, we focus our resources on the students that we're serving to build on the progress that we've seen. And the number that I shared with you back then is there was a $40 million revenue shortfall that we have to address. And so how do we address that revenue shortfall? to ensure that every student in our school district receives a high-quality education? Well, the first thing we do is we try and prioritize non-personnel savings over personnel savings. So this is money we spend not on people's salaries, not on positions, not on benefits. And at the central office, we were able to find $8.6 million in savings for next year, and at the school level, $4.2 million. So in total there, that's almost $13 million in savings, and those savings allow us to avoid bigger layoffs. And so that's the good news there. When we can find these savings, we avoid bigger layoffs. The next step is to prioritize central office reductions over school-based reductions. And so just to cut to the chase here, in terms of the overall impact on our budget, as it relates to budget-related reductions in staff, it is 20 individuals at the central office, which makes up roughly 10% of the central office, and school-based 35 individuals at the school level. The first thing I want to say is, without question, it may feel like there are more than 35, and so there are a few important things to call out. The first is this does not include any performance-driven separations, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. The second is some people may have been in a position that has been impacted by the budget, but they are moving to a different position. So they are still remaining with the district. And so ultimately, with the school-based number, there are 35 individuals, because of the budget, are being impacted and therefore separating from the district. And in terms of the breakdown, 10 are teachers, 10 are security officers, 5 are custodians, 9 are clerks, and 1 is a special health services position that was grant funded and the grant expired. Now I want to get to the performance side of things. So that has, again, those 55 positions, just to go back to this for a moment, those 55 positions are strictly driven by the budget and nothing but the budget. And ultimately, those individuals, most of those individuals will be on a recall list. And if there are any future separations from here on out, above and beyond our projections, we will actually be able to rehire those individuals back into the school district. And historically, we've been able to hire folks off of our recall list. It's something that we've been able to do in the past. And in other cases, we'll work with those individuals to see if potentially there's a different fit. But these individuals, it's not for performance reasons whatsoever, strictly because of the budget, and they'll be on a recall list. As it relates to performance, clearly everyone in our school district is held to high standards, is evaluated. And we can certainly have a debate in terms of how we go about the evaluation process, what the criteria are, how it's conducted. At the end of the day, everyone in the school district is managed and supervised and evaluated. And so at the end of this school year, the number I just wanted to quickly call out is 66 total staff members will be non-renewed for performance reasons. So this is irrespective of the budget, and decisions, no matter what our budget conditions are, we would have made anyways. Our district has well over 1,000 positions, and so 66 ultimately is not a significant number in the grand scheme of things, but those are 65 people's lives who are nonetheless impacted, and I just wanted to make sure to call that out. Lastly, in terms of budgeting and staffing for next year, we also make investments and adjustments as we constantly evaluate our students' needs. And one example of that is we've created a new position, which is a coordinator position of culture and climate, to better support our students' social and emotional learning needs. So we've begun this position in our high schools with our Dean of Culture and Climate, and the key focus here is on leading the implementation of more restorative practices. So what I mean by that is ensuring kids have support in school and they're not constantly taken out of school with 10-day suspensions, 5-day suspensions, and what have you. And so if you look at Woodrow Wilson, for example, the dean there, Preston Brown, has an in-school suspension room, and his job is to work closely with students to ensure that we're supporting their social and emotional learning needs. And so we want to create more positions like that and hire more individuals starting in the district. Everyone who we intend to hire in those positions, we will look internally for, and they will help support more schools in this coordinator position. Another example is replacing additional bilingual teachers at Woodrow Wilson High School. I believe that we need to enhance some of our programming there, and we've certainly had an ongoing conversation about the supports our bilingual students need. And then lastly, we want to maintain the foundation we have and ensure that, for example, class sizes aren't impacted. So just because we are reducing staff in certain places does not mean that all of a sudden our class sizes are going to explode. In fact, our ratios are going to remain exactly the same. Our student-to-teacher ratio, our overall staff to student ratio, all of those ratios will actually remain the same. And the supports will still be there for all of our kids. And so that's really the last point I want to make here. Over the last several years, yes, the district has gotten smaller, but we've gotten better as we've gotten smaller. We're operating fewer, better schools. And the proof is in the pudding. The graduation rate has improved from 49% to 70%. The dropout rate is moving in the right direction, 21% to 12%. Almost every school in the district improved on both the Park Math and ELA results, and we've been able to cut our suspension rates in half. Clearly, there's more work to do. Clearly, any one person who's impacted because of a budget or because of a performance-based decision, this is very difficult. And our staff is providing additional supports for impacted staff, from job search workshops to financial planning workshops, unemployment workshops, and an employee assistance program. And so our Division of Talent Labor Relations is reaching out to those individuals to provide those additional supports. And as I also mentioned, in some cases, we'll actually be able to find a different position for certain people who are impacted. And in other cases, they may get recalled eventually, maybe at some point before the end of the school year, maybe over the summer. So last thing is just to give you a sense of the timeline here. We obviously are at the board meeting right now, and the letters were distributed in advance of the board meeting. There is another board meeting next week. It is a reorganization meeting, which is not a traditional board meeting, and just wanted to make clear that rice notices for that board meeting will go out tomorrow. If anybody is on the board report, they will get a rice notice tomorrow. And then the board meeting will be on Tuesday of next week. That concludes my presentation. As I mentioned, I just wanted to focus it exclusively on budget and staffing, and to make sure that we now reserve the rest of the time for any board member questions we have, but really mostly for public comment. We can go back up to stage. Thank you very much.
Board members, are there any questions?
I know we've already talked through staffing report.
Now, at this time, I'll turn it over to the superintendent.
Yeah, as it relates to tonight's report, I've already approved tonight's DTLR report on May 10th, and any corrections or changes to the report will be reflected in a future DTLR report, most likely on the May 16th or June DTLR report.
Yes, all right, so now we're entering into the public comment portion of our meeting. If you sign up to comment, you'll have 3 minutes to speak. An alarm will sound when the 3 minutes are up, and then I'll ask that you wrap up your comments once the alarm sounds. First speaker is Carmen Cooper. Then after that is Savlo Roman.
Banochi, Masa Akotri, Mangangadabi, Buenos noches, Huten Vans. Good evening.
Good evening.
While we sit here, the Camden City Board of Education, Camden City School District, has just fired a significant number of clerical staff and to replace them with new hires. While they will be bilingual, they will also be inexperienced. They may not be the phrase the board would choose, but that is the practical effect of this decision. I am an officer of the CEA and an employee of the district. Tonight, though I'm speaking as a representative for our members, and most especially members of our clerical unit. Therefore, while I oppose this decision, we oppose this decision. We oppose this decision First, because we feel it is an oversimplification of the linguistic challenges facing Camden Public Schools. There are more languages spoken in our homes of our students simply than English and Spanish, as you clearly saw. But there is no attempt to recognize that. Moreover, the aggregate demographics of our district are not equally present in all our schools. This bilingual capacity may go completely unused depending on the location of the position, but the inexperience will be evident everywhere. We oppose this decision because of the loss of experience and institutional knowledge it will be inevitably cause. While the necessary rudiments of a new language can be learned in a few months, the intricacies of the lower district takes years. How will this district operate once that knowledge is gone? We joke that things fall apart when the clerks are out on a sick day or vacation day or personal day, but that joke isn't far from the truth. We oppose this decision, third, because it assumes that our current clerical staff are incapable of growth or professional development. Nothing could be farther than the truth. Last summer, we devoted time to learning Spanish, myself included, and we would happily do so again. We recognize that the requirements of the job change, and we welcome the opportunity to learn new skills. Each time a new data system, computer program was brought into the district, we learned that too. The city of Camden is changing, but continuity, in this case, in the form of our experienced clerks, is how we maintain a sense of community amidst the change. Change doesn't have to mean exclusion or disruption. We ask instead that you work with us. With support and time, we can serve all members of the community with skill and experience. Thank you, gracias, shukran, thank you.
Next speaker, Saulo Roman. Then after that, Nihama Flonans.
Good afternoon. I'm here because I got one of those letters yesterday. Now, I've been working for the board for 15 years, 8 years at Camden High School. I've done everything possibly there. Like the lady was saying, I learned whatever that they had to teach me. My problem is that with one stroke of a pen, I lose everything come June the 31st. And that is so unfair because nobody thinks about other people. I sit here, I don't make more than $35,000 a year. I look through the papers and I see people at Front Cooper making hundreds of thousands a year. You gave my ops manager $90,000 and he's a gym teacher, a certified gym teacher. That is it. But you gave him $90,000 to try to tell me, the head of security at the school, how to do our jobs. I didn't just learn how to be a head custodian in one day. It took me 5 years to be a head custodian, and I'm still learning how to be a head custodian. It's not easy to do it. And at my school, we started with 15 people. We're down to 3 people at night, which cannot clean Camden High. We're down from 6 to 4 in the morning time. You got rid of all my guys, replaced them with females. I have no problem with the females, but they cannot do the job that I need done in the morning time. And then one of the guys is my field guy. He's gone in the morning. So I'm in the building by myself, unloading, moving, doing anything I possibly can. I don't think it's fair that you could sit there and look at somebody and say, well, it's time for them to go because they got 15 years. I'm not stupid. Everybody who got them letters got over 10 years and over. So that means you did it for a reason. It's unfair and it's unconstitutional. And I hate it with a passion, but I need my job. I got 3 kids. 2 of them are in Camden schools. Without the benefits and stuff, I can care less about the pay. It's the benefits, the health care. That's what I need for my kids. Now, if you ain't got If you don't have little kids, you really don't understand. If you ain't never have kids, you really don't understand either. You can go job to job to job to job and keep it moving. I paid for my boiler license. It's expensive. I went to school. I just didn't go to a 3-day program and then get it. I learned how to do my job. So to me, it's entirely unfair how you can just, okay, he's done. And just to let you know, when I sat there in front of my principal and my ops manager, the smug that came over his face when he said, we are not reappointing you, was unbelievable. But since I still needed my job, I had to sit there and take it. So it's unfair what you're doing. You gotta think of more than just money. You gotta think of people's lives you're affecting once you put your signature on that paper.
Next speaker, Nehama Flonance, and after that, Larry Zahn.
Hi, good evening. My name is Miss Florence. I'm a teacher at Camden High School. I've been a math teacher there for the past 2 years. I'm highly qualified. The first thing I have to say is, aren't we always looking for math and science teachers? Yes. So, and this is, so if you're gonna, so we have 2 arguments that you can make. The first, you mentioned performance. So right here I have my evaluation, which shows that I'm an effective teacher. Right here I printed on the website that you're advertising for a high school math teacher position. So how can we put the 2 together? You're looking for a high school math teacher, but you tell me I'm an effective teacher. And I have here all my observations which are all effective, this year and last year. Additionally, not only am I an effective teacher, but I do a lot of things, outside of academics. For example, field trips. Just today, I took all the students to Six Flags Great Adventures. If not for me, we would not be on that trip. So all of the trips, I also printed some board minutes from previous meetings that show that, my name was on the trip approval list. So without me arranging all these trips, and as a new teacher, none of the math students would be going on any trips. We went to the Math Museum in New York City. We went to the Amazing Escape Room. The kids had a great time. So I arranged that. Another great thing I do with the students is, one of the hobbies I have is I like to sew. So students that get an A or a B at the end of the marking period, I give them this award where I can make something small for them. So I feel like I have a big impact in the school community with the students' personal lives as well as academic lives. And, I also can vouch for the other math and science teachers. Like I said, we need math and science teachers. So what's the plan? To get rid of the math and science teachers now, and then you're gonna need them again, right? We always need math and science teachers. And if you wanna argue that it's for budgetary reasons, I'm only paid maybe $1,000 or $2,000 more than a new hire, right? I'm pretty much paid the same as somebody that's coming in right now. So how can you answer the argument to the either budgetary or performance?
We usually do responses at the very end of public commentary, so I'll respond
Rhetorical
once
question.
everyone else has spoken.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. It's close. All right, next speaker is Larry Zahn. After that is Mark White.
Good afternoon. I've been doing this for so long now, and this is becoming old habit. I'm going to ask everybody who's been briefed to stand up. I want you to put a face to these people.
I know they're with me, but they didn't understand. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Sit down. Superintendent Paymon, since you have been in this district, which has been over 7 years now, I've seen the same slide presentation. All that's ever happened is you change the numbers around. You keep on saying it's budget reasons, it's budget reasons, it's budget reasons. So for a district that receives more federal and state funding than any district in this area, can you please tell me what happens to that money in detail? I can tell you where part of it goes. Part of it disappears when those students go off to the charter schools. Okay? And it doubles that for a student who's a special needs student. As a special need teacher, I can tell you that I have at least 8 to 10 students have been returned, or I'm not actually returned, dismissed from local charter schools in this area and brought back into this building here alone. But the question I'm going to ask you is, does that money get returned with them? So the question I have for you, the thing I have for you right now is, under the Freedom of Information Act, I would like to see where this money is going and if it at all is being returned per child, and how much is that? Could that be arranged? Hopefully it can, because under the Freedom of Information Act, that's free and public information that is available for anybody.
Yeah, I'll respond at the end of public commentary.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next speaker is Mark White. After that is Keith Benson.
Good morning. Good afternoon, my fault. I'm a representative of security at Woodrow Wilson. I've been in the district for 13 years. As I watch our kids grow and graduated from Woodrow Wilson, I was happy. I'm one of the coaches at Woodrow Wilson. My big thing is we're decreasing and the kids are getting bigger. The classrooms are getting larger. I'll put it like this. The kids see us the first thing in the morning and see us at the last minute. We are their hope. I'm not knocking the teachers, I'm not knocking nobody, but they instill in us more than what they instill in their parents. They come to us, they talk to us, they confide in us. They wish, I ain't gonna say they wish, but they do things that they won't tell their parents. And I'm just wonder why you keep cutting security. You saw what happened over in Philadelphia. 4 teachers got hurt. No security around. To me, I'm lucky. I'm the lucky one that made it through. Yesterday we had an altercation. Security wasn't nowhere around because they're taking it as, since you cutting us, what's the sense of doing our job now? And more security you cut, it's going to be harder on the security that's there, like us. 6 of us at Woodrow Wilson for next year. Woodrow Wilson is a big school. You've been there many a time. I don't mind. I get into the mix. I don't mind that. I help kids out as much as I can. But for only having 6 officers at Woodrow Wilson, how big that school is, come on, we got to do something better than that. Like I said, I'm behind the secretariat. I'm behind them. I'm behind my teachers. But it's just the fact that our security team is really needed. By you cutting us down by 10, it's not right. I came here, we had 127 officers. We down to 55? 55? Come on now. Let's do the math on that. Now, so I'm guessing when I asked you, when you came to Wilson, I asked you, I said, Mr. Payman, are we going to decrease or increase? You never gave me the answer, but now I know the answer for that. We decrease. So are we going to decrease from 2,000, we're going to decrease what, next year? Are we going to decrease? I'm just asking, I just want to know. Or I got to meet with Terry Allen and you to see where we go from there. But on behalf of security, I wish my team was here. I'm one of the union reps. Thank you for your time, but it's a shame how you doing, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next speaker, Dr. Keith Benson. After that, Surinder Kaur.
So one of the things I would like to know is, it was reported that one of the reasons why Sumner was closing is because of low enrollment, and you cited 210 students. I saw a spreadsheet that said the number was 276 kids, and I was made aware that some parents are trying to enroll their kids back in Sumner, specifically from the KIPP school, and they are forbidden from enrolling students in, which means Sumner's population would possibly be even higher. So the low enrollment thing raised a lot of questions. And also you didn't mention, when we were talking about Sumner specifically, you mentioned some of their standardized test scores, but left out the fact that Sumner has a very high bilingual population, which, again, in my view, is misinformation that casts the school in a negative light. But in reference to the folks that are laid off and you're saying budgetary reasons, one thing that was left out is that this is an orchestrated transition of students from public schools to the Renaissance schools through school closure and through what's happening at Uncommon. Like, the kids that are in Bonzel's school are there, but you have allowed Uncommon to take grade by grade by grade with each year, so simply just changing the kid's uniform shirt and enrolling them in Uncommon, as if the kids are leaving the district, and that's not what's actually happening. And then also in reference to folks that got laid off in Rift, my coworker Macho mentioned that he makes $35,000. You, Mr. Superintendent, make $219,000. Your chief of staff makes $130,000. And one of your special assistants makes $91,000. So the idea that money is just hard to come by when we have folks that make a whole lot of money with very little experience to show for it or justifying it, I don't understand. But in reference to what I was going to say, that this was not even scripted at all, in times like this, when people with very little formal power decide to speak up and raise their voice and take action against institutions and individuals with seemingly limitless power and resources, it's very easy to feel like our efforts are futile and that resistance is useless. Here we are again seeing our school staff, and in some cases our neighbors and ourselves, victims and collateral damage of a racist governor and a Norcross loyal mayor. We are victims and collateral damage of a superintendent willing to execute a plan that's based on his exercising authoritarian rule, along with a disinterested and silent Board of Education. Certainly resistance in circumstances like these can appear and seem useless, but it's in times like this that really test what we public school staff and community members are made of. Are we really about this fight? This fight for our schools, this fight for the future of this city, its children, its neighbors? Are we willing to pick ourselves up when it's difficult, when it seems hope is gone? We know the superintendent closing our schools is not really about improving education for our children. We know his closing schools has nothing to do with schools' effectiveness in educating young people. These things are already understood. We public school staff, teachers, custodians, counselors, nurses, clerks, school law enforcement officers, social workers, psychologists, paraprofessionals, we educators, we're victims specifically of George Norcross and Mayor Red's plan to see a new Camden, where residents are displaced to towns far away and replaced by affluent and middle-class millennials. Camden Rising is a land grab, and it's land and distribution to the powerful by dispossessing the vulnerable. We are collateral damage of what they call Camden Rising, and central to sustaining the facade of a new Camden is the destruction and disillusion of the public education system. So, the superintendent, as a beneficiary of Christie giving him his position, paying him $219,000 this year, and roughly $800,000 over the 4 years he was here, though lacking the credentials required of every other superintendent in the state, and this board of appointees who know nothing about education and show little desire to become informed, are more willing to do whatever it takes to maintain their position no matter who gets hurt. But it's in times like this we have to remember what and who we are fighting for. We are the ones fighting for the brighter future of this city and its residents. We are the ones willing to call out and stand up to the oppressive actions of power brokers seeking to break this city and its educators' will. And we collectively and united, educators and community, will not allow that to happen. We must remember here and today that it's always darkest before the morning, and that better days are ahead if we just hold on just a little while longer. The mayor is on her way out, Christie's on his way out, and hopefully the superintendent won't be far behind. The people of Camden are waking up and realizing that we are in this struggle together and we must rely on each other when in need. But for these reasons, we must stay encouraged and keep the fighting spirit, even when the landscape seems difficult. Long live Sumner, long live Camden High.
Surrender Cower. Next after that is Karen Borelli Luke.
Hello, good evening. Superintendent Rahana Fard and the advisory board. Hi. My name is Ms. Miranda Carr. I'm a bilingual, actually a multilingual, multicultural science teacher at Woodrow Wilson, and I am also the chair of ESL and bilingual program at Woodrow Wilson High School. There has been a big push to find teachers who speak both Spanish and English in our content areas. The district has recently offered current Spanish-speaking teachers the opportunity to pursue certifications in content areas such as English at the district's expense. Additionally, the district is also offering special ed and ESL certifications for the current teachers. So what I would like to propose is that all teachers at Woodrow Wilson need to be sheltered, English certified, so they can support our students once they exit the bilingual program. I would also like to propose that the district offers current content experts the opportunity to pursue Spanish language qualifications as well. Our ELLs deserve to have teachers who are passionate and capable in our subject areas. By offering language acquisition to our content area teachers, in addition to providing content area training to our Spanish-speaking teachers, we can assure that our students have the best possible teachers. By having a staff with diverse skills and background, the students will be exposed to the workforce they can face when they graduate. I will actually not be able to stay until the end of the meeting because I do have to go back to Woodrow Wilson, but thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Karen Borelli Luke. After that, Ms. S. Kenyon.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's a sad, sad day. Advisory Board, we know that you're not elected, but you are Camden residents. How can you sit there and allow this to happen to our city, our schools, employees, our students, our families, your neighbors? I've been attending board meetings for about 30 years, and when the board members were elected by the residents, the board members that sat there, they interacted, they cared, they listened. We may not have always agreed, and we may not have always gotten what we wanted, but they acted. You have one thing in common, or should. You live here in Camden, and you're sitting there watching it crumble. Please, you live here, let's make a difference. Let's make a difference together. And if you don't, shame on you.
Next speaker, Ms. S. Kenyon. After that is Leroy Baylor.
Good afternoon. My name is Ms. Kenyon. I'm a clerk at Camden High School. I've been in this district for 26 years. I was appointed April 1st, 1991. I am a dedicated worker, always hardworking, come to work, do my job, do it to the best of my ability. I was very surprised this morning when Mr. Jones called me in the office and handed me that brief letter. I was very upset, knowing that I come to work for 26 years and do my job. I have a daughter in college. This is her first year in college. She just left college. Last night, I went and picked her up in college. She said, "Mommy, I know you're proud of me. My first year in Rutgers. I look forward to attend Rutgers next year." I'm not crying for sympathy. I'm crying because I'm a dedicated, hardworking person. Always try to make it on time. If I am late, it bothers me. Because I know going to work means a lot to me. I know that when I go to work, I give my 100%. And I'm here, Mr. Pagan. As a superintendent, I look up to you for so many years. And I ask that you do consider the clerks that come in and give you 100+%. God bless.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Leroy Baylor. After that, Kelly Francis.
Leroy Baylor, CWA staff rep. Good evening, Superintendent, Madam President, advisory board members. I promise I'm going to be brief. And my intention is to bring back to the superintendent's remembrance a couple of things that he said to me in one of our first meetings. But before I do that, I want to suggest to you that your actions of non-renewals of these clerks and these custodians, many of who have served at least 15-plus years. The young lady that just sat down, she was here before I was here. She served at least 26 years in this district. She has invested most of her adult life in this district. And to be cast away like nothing is a slap in the face, and it's disgraceful. The non-renewals of custodians. Name number 5, 25-plus years in the school district. Name number 6, 31 years in the school district. Name number 7, 12 years. Name number 8, my dear friend, Mr. Roman, 13 years. Name number 2, 15 years. Many of these folk whom we say that the non-renewals were performance-based, I have no record of discipline. So how can these non-renewals be performance-based? In particular, the person with 31 years. I served 24 years in the district, and I've never heard his name mentioned. And so now, in 2017, in his 31st, almost 32nd year, he's being non-renewed because of performance reasons? I think not. Something smells fishy. Are we trying to force out those individuals who have served this district for X amount of years in favor of folk who will be new to the district and be maybe fearful of their jobs? Something's fishy, and it doesn't make sense. Many of these people, like my dear friend Mr. Saul Roman, are Camden residents, Camden educated. And that brings me to the question that I wanted to ask you tonight. When I met with you, one of our first interactions, and we have a lot of respect for each other, but tonight I feel a little duped, because based on last year's non-renewals and based on the continuation, we're talking almost 40 jobs in 2 years in the service industry. We're talking about a group of folks that create the environment for learning. If you continue to cut this group of people, you're going to have dirty, filthy, unhealthy, unsafe schools. And that's hell for teaching. Any educator in this room can agree with that. So to my question, you told me when we first met, you said that you did not want to impact Camden economically. How do these actions add up to that statement? They seem to be inconsistent. And then the second thing you said was that the mayor, Mayor Dana Red, she asked you, she recommended to you that you not impact these service jobs. But it seems as if that's all that's being cut, are service jobs. many of whom are Camden residents. Maybe not Camden residents, but Camden educated. Maybe not Camden educated, but at least have invested some portion of their life to, and dedicated some portion to their life to the success of the youth and the children of Camden City. So I'm a little angry tonight. I'm a little angry tonight because I'm tired of watching people that have invested so much of their time and so much of their energy and so much of their love being tossed away like they're a piece of garbage. That's not right. And to watch people come in from Philadelphia, come in from the West Coast, come in from all different angles of the earth and benefit in Camden, but the people of Camden don't benefit. I'll wait for my response.
Kelly Francis. After that, Norma Gonzalez.
Good evening, Ram, Payman, and advisory board members. I just have one word to say about these proposed personnel actions, and that word is unconscionable. Unconscionable. There's the only word I can think of that represents what's happening to these dedicated professionals in this Camden City School District. Now, I want to, a lot of people have spoken on this issue, so I'm going to go and deal with another issue, and that is what's happening to the Camden City School District. If you recall, Payman, your first public meeting almost 4 years ago, October 2013, after the school district was taken over by the state, and I addressed you at the first public meeting, and I said, you're not here to replace Reuben Mills, who was the acting superintendent. I said, you're here to convert our public schools to charter schools, Renaissance schools, school choice vouchers, anything that takes funding, tax dollars from the public school districts. That's why you were sent here almost 4 years ago. If you recall, that's what I said then. And you have succeeded. You have accomplished your mission. And as the convicted felons who were Christian appointees in the Bridgegate trial that was just concluded last year, as they testified, that they had one constituency as an appointee, and that was to Governor Christie. You are Governor Christie appointee. Your obligation, your loyalty is to Governor Christie. You have no obligation to the citizens of Camden or the voters of Camden. But in any event, the scam being perpetrated on the residents of Camden with the so-called demolition and rebuilding of the Camden High School. We know that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, okay? It's all a game, a scam for Christie in his last months in office. He's only got less than 8 months left, and as a result, he will be gone. The mayor will be gone, as stated previously, and you will be leaving because the Democratic governor is most certainly going to allow you to stay here because we are going to demand it. The only reason you're here is because you were appointed by a Republican governor. But that scam that Christie is perpetrating on the people of Camden, that he is going to rebuild Camden High School, is a lie. You know it's not going to happen. This is his way of paying off his political debts. All the people who contributed to his political campaign, failed campaign to run for president. He has to reward them in some way. And he's going to use Camden High School to reward his political contributors. That's the game. I've seen this over and over again. I know how politicians operate. I've been dealing with politicians for 60 years. I began my career as a federal employee dealing with congressmen and senators because I was a member of a federal union. And that's who we dealt with. And since I retired, I've been dealing with state politicians, county politicians, and local politicians. So I know all of the tricks of the trade and how they, because I've seen it time and time again. But that's what it's all about. Camden High will not be rebuilt because by 2021, there will be 15 high schools available, options available to Camden City students. In September, there will be 13. And before 2021, there will be 15 because Uncommon will have a high school and KIPP will have a high school. So that will add to the 13 that will be operating in September. So there will be no need. It's obvious. Anyone who has any common sense, there will be no need to rebuild Camden High School. And it's a game, it's a con, it's a scam perpetrated by Chris Christie to reward his political allies and contributors. Because if he doesn't reward them with contracts using our tax dollars, then his political career is over. These people will never contribute to him ever again if he tries to run for public office. So that's how politics works. We're still a pay-to-play state. Nothing's changed. It's still pay-to-play in New Jersey. You know, the law hasn't changed. So that's what it's all about. So it's a scam, and the people have got to be aware of that and fight it. Thank you.
Norma Gonzalez. And after that is Alicia Garcia Rivas.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Norma Gonzalez. Necesito que alguien me ayude con la traducción.
Who's translating?
I understand. I understand, but you read the translation.
Good evening, I'm Carmen Stokes, and I will do my best to translate for her. Okay, she's coming. She's coming on behalf of the parents of Dudley School to speak about the, con la señorita? About number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And number 10 on the non-renewals of non-certificated positions. She is here to speak on behalf of the parents. She feels that it is not just for her to be removed as the family operations. She is an excellent worker.
Ayuda a los padres.
She helps the parents.
Pienso que no es justo que le manden una carta y le digan simplemente que está despedida y que no puedan darle un motivo por el cual ella está despedida.
She feels it's a shame that she was given a letter without any justification as to why she was not going to be renewed.
Nosotros quisiéramos saber en qué se basan para despedirla,
We would like to know why she's being dismissed.
porque yo le apuesto a que si él tuviera la oportunidad de preguntarle a cada padre que viene aquí, me dirían lo excelente que es ella como coordinadora.
Because if you had an opportunity to come and speak with other parents here, we will tell you exactly what an excellent family operations officer she is.
Ella habla inglés, habla español.
She speaks English, she speaks Spanish.
La mayoría de los niños aquí son hispanos.
The majority of the children here at this school and families are Spanish-speaking,
Y los padres nos sentimos en confianza con ella.
and we feel very confident in having her.
Otros años los padres no han podido participar porque los coordinadores no nos han dado esa oportunidad.
In other years, parents have not been able to participate in activities because those coordinators did not give us the opportunity.
Con ella ha sido todo diferente y pensamos que ella debería de seguir aquí.
With her, it has been very different here at Dudley, and we feel that she should be permitted the opportunity to continue working here. She says thank you.
Gracias.
Alicia, Garcia, Rivas. After that, Robert Farmer.
Hi, my name is Alicia Garcia Rivas. I am a student here at Thomas H. Dudley Family School, and I come to represent our teachers from Woodrow Wilson and our officers and Ms. Colasso. I just wanted to say that it isn't fair how you're taking them away from us students when now we need them the most. And we want them to stay here because they've done a lot for us. And our point here is we just don't want them to go at all. They've been the best for us, and we've learned a lot from them. Our opportunities came from them.
All right?
I just want them to stay.
Next speaker, Robert Farmer.
I come here today with basically a heavy heart. We just see this young lady right here break down. Try watching adults break down the same way when they call you and they try to make reasons of why they have spent 20, 24, 25 years in this district, and all of a sudden, and within a month, they're going to be unemployed. You know, last year, a person sent me it was a video from the state of New Jersey with Governor Christie's telling each school district to lighten the weight on the retirement system by not letting certain people retire. Okay, I was told, oh no, Mr. Farmer, that's wrong. Nah, we would never do nothing like that. But I have seen a trend of this for the last 4 or 5 years. You know, our clerks, some of the hardest working professionals there is, has always been. They are the backbone of our schools. They are the face of our schools. And many of them are just pushed aside like, you know, that's it. That's it. True, a few was offered positions, they were, but some of our clerks do not qualify for that position. Our colored, I'm just going to say our black workers do not qualify for the Clerk 3B bilingual position. Okay? They're out. You're talking about our security being cut. No. Our teachers feel unsafe. Our children feel unsafe. This is the time now, although you're closing schools, this is the time now to beef up on your security at the schools that you still have open. Because let's be for real, we have problems in our schools with violent acts. Let's talk about our custodians. Many of them are residents of Camden, just as well as our security, just as well as our clerks. You say you come here to help Camden out, you're creating poverty. You're creating unemployment. You're creating the same children that you want to go to the charter schools. You're taking money from their parents' pockets. How's that helping? Who checked the addresses? Anybody checking the addresses where these people live at? This is disheartening. There is one way that we can solve this problem, though, because you don't always come with you with a solution. Reroute some of that money that you're sending to the charter schools, reroute it back to keep our members working. Okay? Many of these charter schools, the employees there do not live in this city. Many of them. And you're taking money away from people that are living in this city for other people to come in here and work, and I think that's so wrong. So what I ask you to do is go back over your list and reconsider some of these abolishments, some of these non-renewals. It's an easy remedy. Take some of that money you're giving to the charter schools, give it back to the residents of Camden and the educators of Camden. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I can't read the next speaker's name, speaker that lives on Howe. Number 15.
Buenas tardes, me llamo Rubén Vidal.
Good evening, my name is Ruben. Ruben Vidal.
Eso lo están tomando como un restaurante, una factoría, alguna tienda, que nada más le avisan a uno al otro día, ¿sabes qué? Que mañana ya no vienes, y listo, se quedó uno sin gasto para la mujer o sus gastos de la familia.
¿Usted está hablando sobre qué?
Sobre que las personas que están dando de baja.
He said he feels that the way in which you are giving notice to the non-renewals is pretty much like you worked at the corner store, is very unprofessional, not giving people the courtesy of the profession, especially the number of years that they have worked for you. It should be done in a more humanistic way.
Esta escuela es bonita, y al dar de baja a las personas que tenemos, que vemos que nos ayudan a ver unas cosas de nuestros hijos, la escuela va a bajar, y es una de las primeras de Camden bonita.
He says, this is a beautiful school, and by you allowing the people in this building to be non-renewed and terminated, the school itself is going to fall.
Gracias.
Says, thank you.
Gracias.
Next speaker, Maria Del Carmen. After that, Teresa Flores.
Necesito traducción, por favor. Gracias. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Carmen López.
Good evening, my name is Carmen.
Carmen López.
Carmen Lopez.
Teresa Flores.
Got the wrong person. Teresa Flores, you called?
No, Maria Del Carmen.
Maria del
Teresa Flores is next. She's next.
Okay, she thought she had been called.
Hoy nos dieron una noticia muy triste.
Today we received a very, very sad news.
Nos despidieron a nuestra coordinadora de padres.
You gave notice that our parent coordinator was being dismissed.
Hemos tenido una excelente maestra y no es justo que la despidan.
We have had an excellent teacher, and it is not fair that you're letting her go.
En los años que ha estado con nosotros hemos tenido una excelente comunicación con ella.
In the time that she has been with us, we have had excellent communications with her.
Ella ha estado apoyándonos en todo lo que los padres necesitamos y no queremos el cambio de coordinadora.
She has been very encouraging to the parents of the school, and we do not want a change in the coordinator position in this school.
No queremos el cambio de coordinadora. Les pedimos por favor que eviten cambiarla. La necesitamos en nuestra escuela Dudley.
Please avoid non-renewing her because we need her here at Dudley.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Teresa Flores. After that, Maria Vasquez.
Good evening.
Buenas noches. Buenas noches. Teresa Flores.
My name is Teresa Flores.
Hoy me llegó la noticia que me dijeron que lo van a sacar desver. Eso no gusto que lo van a sacar.
Today she received notice that you were going to dismiss our family and operations coordinator,
Lo
and that's
necesi-
not just.
Lo necesitamos aquí a ella.
We need her here.
Si ella lo sacan ustedes, yo saco mis hijos de la escuela.
If you remove her, then I'm taking all my children out of your school.
Eso no es bueno, ¿ok?
That
Yo lo
is not
necesito
good.
a ella aquí.
I need her, and our parents need her here.
Gracias, es todo lo que quiero decirle.
Thank you, that's what I would like to say.
Thank you.
Maria Vasquez, after that, Lorraine Miller.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es María Vázquez.
Good evening, my name is Maria Vasquez.
Yo vengo a apoyar a Miss Collazo, que es la coordinadora de padres. Pues nosotros estamos apoyando a ella porque
I come to speak on behalf of Ms. Collazo. She is our family operations coordinator.
estamos apoyando por ella porque ella es una excelente coordinadora de padres. Ella nos ha, hemos reunido con ella para cualquier actividad. Hemos apoyado aquí en la escuela. Yo soy una de las mamás de esta escuela que estamos involucradas aquí en la escuela por cualquier actividad que tenemos.
We are opposed to her not being renewed because we are parents here, and we have had many successes here at this school this year.
Anteriormente había coordinadoras de padres de Dudley que no nos hablaban para apoyar aquí en la escuela.
Previously, we've had coordinators at the school, but they did not encourage us to participate.
Del tiempo que está Miss Collazo aquí, estamos más apoyando en esta escuela y estamos, ella nos ha dado su confianza para tener actividades aquí, y por eso queremos que ella no la despidan, que queremos que esté en esta escuela.
We have had many successes in the school, and she has encouraged us to participate in many activities, and that is why we would like for her to stay here.
Aquí mis compañeras que estamos aquí presentes, todas queremos que ella no la despidan.
We have many parents here this evening, and we do not want her to be non-renewed.
Porque es una excelente coordinadora del Dudley, la escuela de Dudley.
She is an excellent coordinator here at Dudley.
También estoy apoyando a todos los maestros de que están reduciendo, de que no le están dando ya trabajo. Es injusto, porque ellos es lo que viven de su trabajo, que están, de su sueldo que están sacando de su trabajo. Entonces no es justo que la despidan de un momento a otro. ¿Con quién van a trabajar? Eso no está bien para mí.
She feels it's unfair that you're also letting go teaching staff members. She supports them, she's behind them 100%, and she doesn't feel that it's fair the manner in which you are non-renewing these individuals.
Y es todo y gracias.
That is all I want to say, and thank you.
Lorraine Miller.
What's the name?
Lorraine Miller.
Lorraine Miller.
This is number 19.
Siéntate. ¿Tú sabes qué número eras?
My next question is not on your list.
Good evening. Thank you for
evening.
giving me the opportunity to speak. Once again, and I'm appalled by what has happened. I would like for you to stand back and think what is important in life. What is important for Camden? I don't care about the politicians. What do we want for the children? That's what counts. They need stability. I saw that child come up here and speak so upset. I was getting upset. My gosh, what are we doing here? I've heard it in the past, vacancies. And then we have a teacher up here, it's highly effective, and you're taking her position? Something is wrong. There are better guidelines to follow. Go back and do your homework. Security. Yes, I saw the wonderful article in the paper about the calming room. I think that's a great, I applaud you for that. That's a move in the right direction, but there are still many, many problems. And when you're taking security, not only inside, but outside, right there, right on the street where my daughter was teaching, I was scared to death. I heard there was another lockdown and shooting. I care. I really do, and I really think we have people up here that care as well. Use your heart. Clerks, oh dear gosh, they are the heart and soul of the building. They know what's going on. They work like dogs. For someone to get a notice after 26 years and did nothing wrong but everything right, poured her heart and soul into her job, providing for her family, this is a wake-up call. I really think you need a subgroup to sit down and re-examine what happened here, because something is definitely wrong. The custodians. District I was in, they thought it was a great idea to get rid of all the different custodians, narrow it down to a skeleton. They hired outsiders. They ripped off almost the entire district. They stole everything in sight. The building was a pit. We had bugs, rodents, you name it. Oh, they got rid of them within a very short time. Because believe me, the people in the suburbs would not put up with it. Now, I looked over the list too. I am also concerned about 4 guidance counselors. I certainly hope we have enough dealing with the kids' needs. I've said it over and over again, these children do have post-traumatic stress. Who's going to listen to them? Who's going to guide them? As I told Donald Norcross, he represents us and not his brothers. You represent, as a board right now, these people. Listen to them. Do what's right. Thank you.
Next speaker is Relon Vidal.
Can't even tell the street.
Relon?
It's really hard to tell.
Yeah, number
Vidal.
Is that number 20?
Number 20.
That's me.
No, it's not you.
But
All
that's
these educators, they can't read.
No, you're 21.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Because that's what happens when you take the cursive language out of the, y'all didn't get it. All right, come. Y'all like that one, right?